Hi, I'm Katie O'Regan. I'm the artistic director of the Spring Grove International Film Festival, and we're here today to introduce some very, very special people. We have the winners of the short film from Minnesota of our Spring Grove International Film Festival. It's a movie called Master Servant. Today we have us with Julie Koehnen and her cast, and we're going to talk a little bit, probably for about 45 minutes. If you have the time to spend 45 minutes, I'm sure it's going to be worth it. It was an amazing film. I always say, whenever I am really struck by a piece of art, I usually remember the time I see it, the day I see it, what I was wearing, where I was literally, which couch or room or, and this film was no exception to the rule. In the first 1 minute when I saw it, I was hooked. And I knew that I wanted it to be in our festival. And so I introduced you. Our featured Friday filmmaker is Julie Koehnen. Julie, how are you today?
Yay, hi. I feel like I need to applaud that introduction. I'm so proud to be part of this project. I'm great. I'm super happy to be here, and I'm super happy to have my lead, Seth Hale, Tiffany Cornwell, and my co-producer, Stephen Elbert. Yes, that's who's here with me. And was there more to that question? Did I forget?
Yeah, so everybody, when you raise your hands, we can see our names, which is really fabulous, right? And I'm going to do like a speaker view so people can see you up close and personal. And first of all, I would like to announce the awards again that Master Servant won, and it's not only Best Short Minnesota Filmmaker Award, and we had 52 films in our festival in a TriState. Minnesota Best Film, Wisconsin Best Film, Iowa Best Film, but it was an international film festival. So we had the great fortune to choose from many amazing films. And I don't want to underplay the fact that you won the best Minnesota short film. You also won the Best Costume Award in the whole festival. So the costumes in Master Servant are not only intricate, but they're just very sophisticated and subtle. And I watched it like 3 times just to see the costumes. Not to take away from the story, but the costumes were the first things that grabbed me. So Julie, first of all, I want to ask you just about your career, and then I want to talk to everybody and have you talk about your careers in the film. But Julie, can you tell us what you've done as a filmmaker? Because you have quite the impressive career.
Yeah. Well, I come from editing. I come from Los Angeles, where I was an editor. My last impressive job was with the NFL Network, and which everybody cannot believe I left, but I had a higher calling to produce this TV series, because this short film speaks to a larger project, and it's a Minnesota Downton Abbey. So this is just a little taste. So my career since Master Servant has gone very well. I ended up winning the Artist Initiative grant, which was a huge chunk of money to start another short film, which I didn't plan on, but I won it and then I was obligated. And then COVID hit, so it was really no small feat. We actually filmed the sequel to Master Servant this September. And Seth was again our star, our lead. And Tiffany, unfortunately, it was not a piece of her story. She was so strong in Master Servant. I'm always wondering when she will get some Best Actress award for her performance.
Yeah,
for real.
And for me right now, I'm actually leaving for LA, and I'm going to be finishing up Awakening with my LA post-production team. And I'm starting to pitch a psychological thriller, a feature film that I wrote about a woman who doesn't know if she's going crazy or if her husband's trying to gaslight her. And actually, because of the goodwill of Master Servant last year, I had Tiffany star in a scene from that film. And Stephen came and he helped create that. And we shot on the banks of the Mississippi, because the Mississippi River is so completely unique to the Twin Cities. So yeah, just a lot's going on.
Yeah, it really, I want to speak to what you said about Tiffany's acting. Tiffany, I thought you were amazing in the film.
Thank you.
Are you really, and do you know, one of the reasons that it's kind of unfair who won the Best Actress in our film festival is that we had a couple of amazing superstars.
Oh,
Ed Asner won the Best Actor. And so I told all our amazing actors that don't feel bad that you didn't win Best Actor, because Ed was going to win the acting award anyway.
Right.
Because we couldn't do it to him. He was our and he's a genius actor. There's a reason he won 77 Emmy Awards in his Oscar. So.
No, I mean, it's just 70.
Just
no
seven,
big deal. It's
just
just
7 Emmy Awards,
right?
He's 92. He tells people he's 90. Ed, if you're watching,
he's
really 92. Cheating on his age. And then also we had Marion Ross, who won the Best Actress. So the mom from Happy Days. Tiffany, girl, don't.
These two don't know Happy Days. They're just totally looking at you playing along.
I know. I recognize the name. I
know it as a concept.
Look up Marion Ross, because she was in Senior Entourage, which Brian Connors directed, and won an award. So you should watch for him as well on Facebook. He is quite the accomplished actor, director, and brought together the superstar cast from LA with Marion Ross and the whole thing. Just look it up and then watch and you should meet Brian and the gang. All of you should. And totally. I'll make a point to introduce you to them. But Tiffany, tell us about your career. Tell us about this film. Tell us about, give us, let us know.
Yeah. So this film was, it's actually been a huge motivator for me. So I'll go back all the way to the first audition. And I have this memory of driving out to the audition. And the Twin Cities film community here, we're pretty tight knit. And I knew a lot of the actresses trying out for the role. And they are incredible. And like, no joke. There's some real talent in the Twin Cities. Yeah. And I remember I was really getting down on myself. And I just kept being like, they're never going to want me. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too this, I'm too that. I can't this, I can't that. I can't connect. And I just stopped myself in the car there. And I went, you know what? All you can do is what you have. Like, all you can give is what is inside you. And if you're not right, then it's not for you. Like, if it's not for you, you won't get it, but just go and give them who you are and what you have. So I showed up. I probably showed up 45 minutes early and spent the entire 45 minutes doing emotional work. Then walked in with Julie, and I think I had 3 minutes, and the audition was in German, which I do not speak.
I love it.
And I was like, I got a call back, and I was thrilled, like, no joke. I was just floored and thrilled. And then I got
But you got a call back for a different part.
For the other role.
And because I could not see her as the German maid, because she was too pretty to be this person that I thought was kind of downtrodden, but of course then she blew me away. You were there, Stephen, for this callbacks, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then I got to work with Nicole, and she's one of my good friends. We've been in acting classes together for a while. And Julie actually called me to tell me I was cast on my 30th birthday, which was also the day that my niece was born. So it was a really good day.
So many things.
Birthday, Tiffany. When is your birthday?
September 4th.
September 4th.
Wow.
Same day as Beyonce. So it's a good day.
Isn't it funny? Let's see, Stephen, what did you think? You were there when Tiffany auditioned, correct?
Right, yes.
And you thought what?
I didn't realize that she didn't speak German, because even though I'm part German, which I don't speak any German, but no, she was great and just graceful and believable, so believable, which made it, it's interesting, when you're obviously casting, there are those people that have the right look sometime, but don't have the believability. But Tiffany brought everything to it.
Well, Tiffany, just when you spoke about, if it's not your part and it's just not yours, you sold me. You had me at go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Why you cast Julie, I get it. Why you cast Tiffany, truly. Yeah. And I love what you said about she was almost too pretty, and I love that you would talk about that, because as a director myself, we go through these processes. And we look, and I try never to, I've directed 72 stage productions and many other things. And I try to never judge people on if I think they're pretty or not. And it's so hard, because a lot of women get turned down because they're too pretty, like you, Tiffany. It's true. It's so true. And
I mean,
Julie,
I've gotten "you're too pretty" and "you're not pretty enough" on the same day from two different
That's
casting
right.
anyone who
directors.
thinks you're not pretty enough is out of their mind for whatever reason. So, you know, it's more about them, trust me, than it is about you. So,
I just
and we
want to
know-
say that when, okay, so I was new to the Twin Cities as well. So I didn't know like who was who and, you know, who had done what. And so everybody was just this blank slate to me. And she was just not obvious to me until she was obvious. And I just feel like she, I don't even know. Like, I mean, like you were speaking to that first audition, it was a complete storm. I mean, we saw like 75 people. We didn't have somebody filter anybody. So we just ended up seeing everybody. And it was like, I don't even know how she came to the forefront, but she just kind of stuck and we needed to see her again. And Seth, yeah, he was too pretty to cast too.
Yeah, I can see that about
I
Seth.
know.
So true, so
That
true.
pretty boy look going on,
It's-
but
it's
you were
that
amazing in the
swoop.
film.
Thanks.
It's the swoop in your hair,
Yeah,
Seth.
tame
It's
the
just...
swoop.
Well, and I want to
Can't be
give,
contained.
I want to give, you know, I think I'm like all directors, you know, you collaborate with these people and they become, you know, in this thing that's intensely personal and important to you, and they become your co-creators. And so, sorry, I'm a little sick. I don't have COVID. But they are, they both are just so amazing to me. And Seth, you know, he's back in my second one. And I just feel so much like praise for him and like, thank you so much for being this character and for all that he brings to the role. Because I always say this, he's not just this guy, this generic guy. He's this guy that shows up with all this gravitas, you know, all this anger and this complex personality where he is the lead, but he's an unlikable character, you know? So you're good at that.
Being like-
Very convincing. Hey, Julie,
great.
can you tell us, can you give us the plot, the short plot of Master Servant?
Oh my God, can I pitch Master Servant?
Yeah, please.
Oh God, where's my fast log line? Let me just look for my fast log line because
Yep.
I'm so
Okay,
wrapped
while
up
you're
in
doing
my.
that, Seth,
yeah.
tell us about your career. Seth.
Yeah. Well, not. I don't. Probably not as storied as Tiffany's, but I mostly did. Have done live stuff, theater, and couple like a cappella groups and things like that. You know, commercial industrial work here and there. And in fact, when I first heard about the audition, it was like online, I think on like a Facebook group, and I was singing on a cruise ship in somewhere in the Mediterranean at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw it and I was like, well, I really want to audition for that when I get back. I don't want to miss this opportunity because I don't want to be on a ship anymore and I really want to do this.
And can I ask why you wanted to do this? Like, what was it about this part that you wanted to?
I mean, first of all, like props to our casting director, Cynthia, because everything about it was just so legit. And it was so nice to see something legit. You know what I mean? Sometimes with short film, it's kind of a crapshoot. And you're like, am I going to be in some guy's basement or am I going to be making something cool?
Mm-hmm.
And everything about it was just like screaming this amazing thing. And they wanted German, and it was this like Victorian setting in St. Paul. And I was like, I used to live there. Like there was all these cool things that just made it sound like such a neat project to get on board with people that were like passionate and we're going to actually do it right. Which sometimes just not knocking anyone, but like to actually like look at it and say, wow, we're really going for something. We're taking shots as opposed to just like, good enough. So it was just kind of set up for all of that. And I was like, I really want to do this. So I got my cabin mate to film me in the theater, and he was insulted he didn't get a call back, but that's fine. I'm glad I did.
I'm like, I didn't even realize your cabin mate. It's like, again, too many people.
He was behind the camera. He's an amazing weird dude. Super offensively English. So
For those who are watching, Master Servant is it's a very grand production. It's a very complicated, large production, and it looks absolutely like it's off the big screen, and it was in our festival. And truthfully, hopefully, do you think that you could possibly put up on our, with this interview, you want to put up a link to it? Can you do that with this, or is it?
It's not available yet.
I didn't think it, yeah. Okay, well, you guys are just gonna have to watch for it in the theaters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at
And
Amazon Prime.
Come along, and if you're really, really interested, we'll talk about maybe showing it individually or something like that. If you're, a producer and interested in helping this crew with the rest of their work, we'll talk about that. But just so you know, it's a massive production. It's not a, it was not a simple thing to shoot. And once again, congratulations. So now, our wonderful director, you want to pitch it? You want to tell us?
I did find the log line. Sorry, I can't. I'm just pitching so much stuff. So this log line is so old to me.
Yeah, right. That's right.
It says, an ambitious young Great Northwest Railroad executive comes face to face with his own moral decay in his blind pursuit of wealth and status among the social elite.
Say that one more time. It's a great pitch line.
Well, maybe I could also kind of synopsis it a little bit. It's the story of Seth, who is an ambitious upcoming railroad executive. He wants nothing more than to be like the president of the Great Northwest Railroad, Dunmore Gray. And they have just achieved this great, what do you call it? It was a great endeavor. They finished the Transcontinental Railroad, and they are set to celebrate. And on the day before they're going to celebrate, there's a massive explosion at the railroad yard, and it kills and maims many of the people that actually worked on the railroad. And so Seth, his character, who's your character? I can't even remember your character's name.
Samuel Blackburn.
Samuel. He's challenged by his man. He has a man, a valet, Eric, and he is challenged to consider, why would you even think of celebrating when all the people that were also involved and around you are hurting? People have lost the ones they love. And so he's adamant that no, they deserve their celebration. The spike was driven through the final railroad track 6 months ago. So that night they show up at this very opulent party, which was filmed in the James J. Hill House on Summit Avenue, which is a huge historical mansion. Thank you to those people. And he's really gonna celebrate. And then as the night goes on, he becomes a little drunk. He's looking for more champagne, and he finds Tiffany, who's crying. He follows her out of the room, and he doesn't even realize she's crying. And then he kind of corners her in this weird, very awkward, what was actually a bathroom. We did not shoot it as a bathroom, but it was a bathroom. And he recognizes that she's German. And so he's trying to show her that he's, sympathetic, he's a good guy. And he starts to speak German with her. And then she starts to reveal that actually her husband was maimed in that accident. And she's desperate. And she is just trying to somehow get him to help her out. And he listens, and she affects him, but ultimately he rejects her. And he says that it's her husband's fault that the engine exploded, that it was his job to make sure it didn't explode, that it was ready to be fired up. And then they part ways, and he's going to go back to the party, and he finds that he's just watching everybody party, and he cannot return. It's ruined, and he leaves. So he's not
I like this. I want to watch this.
I know. The actors were great. The costumes were great.
All true. All very true. That was an amazing synopsis. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. It was kind of long, but thanks.
That was great. So Stephen, tell us about your what you did for the movie. How did you come to it? How did you guys meet? Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, I was in corporate America for 32 years. I was the vice president of event production at Ameriprise, which was American Express before that. And I worked at Studio 55. And I was at a film festival, and one of the other producers, Ruth Maramus, who was on the shoot, I knew her, and she mentioned about this project. We were at the Twin Cities Film Fest. And it just sounded so intriguing, and really one of those pieces that, the house itself seemed like a character because of the era, the challenge of costuming, 30, 40 people, just had some great challenges. And then my first meeting with Julie was great because Julie had such a vision for it. She, you ever want to see storyboards that are like amazing, she took pieces apart, every one of them.
Oh.
But it was, just as Seth had mentioned, you don't know when you go into an independent, what it's going to be like. And just Julie, she really had everything pulled together. She knew what she wanted to do. She had a vision for the beginning, middle, and end. Relentless in raising funds to make it all happen.
Good job, Julie. That's the hardest part sometimes.
One of the hardest parts. So just there were so many things that were, with Julie at the helm, as the cast started to come together, it's just a project that was just really, for me, just really rewarding to work on. So it was a great all around group effort. As we know, it takes a village, and it was a great village.
And there was like 30 or 40 people. Was it 40 people in it? Was it? I mean,
that second day of shooting, it was something like almost 30 people with cast and background actors.
Yeah. And how many days did you shoot? How many?
2.
Yeah.
2. We needed 3, but I couldn't raise any more money.
Well, speaking of your story, I love what you said, Stephen, about Julie's storyboards, and just for people who are interested in creating films. And, I'm doing this because it's kind of like a masterclass for people who want to do it and who have a story to tell. And, it's our job as artists and filmmakers and producers and lovers of all life to help other people as well. Because, we don't do this alone. None of us, even though it looks like we do something alone, we never do it alone. We don't even do it close to alone. So it's really a joy to see, you guys put each other up on the pedestal and talk about what the other person did right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you're all doing. That's what I hear all of you do. This is not about Tishy's not, oh, what about me? Steve, what about me? Julie's not, what about me? So that's not, and it's just cool. And it showed in your film. It shows in films. It's not about, even if it doesn't look like it, you feel it. You can sense it, because you can't put that many people together in 2 days and have it work and not have the spirit of cooperation and hope.
And
I think what was so obvious too was just when Julie's directing with her editing background. I mean, she was editing every scene as we went along. And as she said, we needed 3 days, but she was able to get the shots that were needed in 2 days, but
That's
without,
amazing.
and knowing what she needed in the edit room. Was super helpful.
You're so nice, Steve. Thank you. Can I tell you that he was like a surprise, because you start with who you think you're gonna do it with, and then you end up with whatever, it just starts to evolve, right? And it starts to, for us, it just kept evolving till I really had what I needed. And he was somebody I needed desperately, because it's a lot for me to produce and then to be producing with other people. But then at a certain point, I just take all of it and I stick it on their shoulders, and then I'm just the director. And so he was, this strong, very clear, very organized, just an excellent producer. He took on everything. I would tell him something like, we need this, and it was done. He would take care of it. I didn't have to keep coming back and going, remember that thing I said, I could be free to direct. So I feel like you really need a strong producer when you're doing something like this.
So true. Can I ask you a question, Julie, about that?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things when you said, give us an example of one of the things that you asked Stephen to do when you were like, can you do this? Can you do this? What's an example?
Well, I gave him a credit as the location manager, because I feel like that was really your biggest undertaking, Stephen, because the house is historical. So then we're not allowed to, we had to be escorted to every place. We had several meetings up at that house, because we can't really touch things and, denigrates things by, all this business and traffic on it. So to coordinate with the people that ran the house, the historical society, to even that day, making sure that just where is the grip truck going to be located? How far away from the house is it going to be located? What's the most convenient way to get the equipment into the house? Did he get the permits from the city? Did he clear the street so that we had our good shots and that our crew could park close to the house? Everything to where are we going to feed everybody? How can we feed everybody when we're on the property of a historical home? It was a large group to feed. That second day was crazy. coordinating all those people that had to come in to feed us, and the costumer, I mean, just the equipment. So he's running like all that. He and Ruth, my other co-producer, are running all that. And I am free to not think about that. I did not think about anything. I did not worry that they were going to screw it up and we were going to hurt the house and it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I would work with him 100 times over.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ruth, and Ruth is an amazing producer as well. I mean,
yes.
We divided and conquered. She took the lead on so many things, and she is a very skilled producer, and would just love to work with Ruth.
Yeah, like she had to run, mainly too, I think Ruth ran all those background actors, fittings, paperwork, where are they going to be? I mean, getting them, replacing them. It was like, oh my gosh, so many people.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the writing. The script.
So me, writer.
Yeah.
Hard relationship.
You're so awesome. I just love you, Julie. You're very talented. I hear what you're saying. I mean, you wrote it, you directed it, and just to say it again, she wrote it and directed it and found producers and found this amazing cast. And it's just harder than what people think. So that's why I'm asking about the writing, because I say as a writer, you kind of lay your hands on the keys and you sort of like, you just open your soul, and it's hard to write. It's hard to write to make something of any worth, and you made something worth. So that's why I'm asking about it.
Well, it's interesting because I started as a writer, and I, like right out of the gate, my second script I wrote was made into a movie. And so it was like, whoa, this is easy.
What script was that?
It was called Raising the Dead. And I had become a McKnight finalist. They used to have finalists here.
Yeah.
And then it traveled all over Hollywood, and it just kept getting optioned. And then it finally got made, and I was like, oh, I'm in. And that was not to be. So then I became an editor. Because an editor, I have a lot more control where I'm going to land. And then all of a sudden this project I became obsessed, and I started to pitch this project to other writers. Like, you guys should write this. You should write this. And it was like, no, Julie, you should write this. You're obsessed, you're involved. I'm passionate about history. And so I started to, I didn't write a short film for this TV series until Sundance came to town. Sundance Master Workshop for Short Films came to town, and they talked about the importance of having a short film that spoke to a larger project. Like, it could be hugely beneficial if I could make a smaller project that spoke to my TV series. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make another short film. Because they're super difficult, right? There's no investors. Yeah. It's just people give me money because they like me, or they like the project, or they want to see me put St. Paul or Minneapolis on film, or it's just a multitude of reasons, but it's not an investment. And anyway, so yeah, I started to dust off my old writing skills. And the thing that I think, if this is for teaching, what I say to everybody is, you have to sit down and write. And so you have to make an appointment, like you're a business person, and you say, I'm going to write at 8 o'clock every day. And you have to commit to sitting there, whether something happens or not. If it's not happening, you still have to sit there. If you're just sitting there holding your hands together, you still have to sit there for the hour. And inevitably what does happen, even if it's within the last 15 minutes, is your brain starts to flip over into that super hard work. Because it's very hard work. And a lot of times, people will be like, I'll clean my bathroom before I'll write. And it's like, yep, because it's really hard. But the thing is too, is once you get into it, it can just fly. So wow. That's my notes to writers.
Those are some beautiful words of wisdom. There's a book called Bird by Bird.
Yes, I love that. Annie Lamont.
Yeah, Annie Lamont. She talks about that, and the writing story. Well, I think that you have a lot to teach, Julie. I really do. I think you have a lot to teach, and I'm betting on your next project. I'll bet on it. If someone's signing up people to bet, call me. I will bet on it.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be a big winner. And if I don't know how I can help you, but I'm certainly willing to help you in any possible way, because I believe in what you're doing. I really do. So you finished your second part in September. And is that in the editing room right now, or is it finished?
No, no, my editor's actually, I'm not going to edit it this time. She's in Los Angeles and I'm going to leave next week to meet her and I'm going to edit with her. We've edited together before and she's great. It should be done in, I think, January.
January? Oh, awesome.
I've already got my composer on it. So he's said he's doing something.
That's pretty cool.
Hopefully he sits down for an hour every day.
Yeah, and does that as well. Right. And how many people in this film, Master Servant, are in the next film? How many?
Well, we were very compromised by COVID.
Yeah, everyone, yeah.
You know, because there's nothing better than to fill a scene with all these beautiful gowns and tuxedos. And for me, it is because, like, you know, times can be hard and I just love to look at that beautiful stuff and just daydream and, you know, this different reality. But because of COVID, Seth will even attest to this, that party scene was pretty sparse.
Yeah.
But we were
just trying to, you know, do some magic, make it look a little more something than it is, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had like the string quartet, like, you guys are done playing, why don't you kind of come and join the party? So my string quartet was party goers. But I just wanted to say too that shooting during COVID was super challenging. I do want to say we followed SAG rules, so that became even more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen was going to be with us, but he wasn't able to be on that second part. And I wish he would have been able to. And Tiffy, again, you know, I'm going to bring your part back at some point, but hopefully in a full series.
Maybe with a little more English this time.
I know, I'm so sad for you. God, you know, because Seth is fluent, which he will now laugh.
Yeah, we're playing it fast and loose with the word fluent, but yeah.
Well, I'm directing them and I don't even know what they're saying, you know, and like he at least knew what they were saying. I don't know if Tiffany knew what she was saying.
I knew what I was saying. I went to an Oktoberfest and I asked at least 4 people, where's the real German at the Oktoberfest? Someone who actually came here from Germany. And they pointed me out to this girl who had just come here. She was an exchange student. And I was like, hi, you don't know me. Can I have your number? I need you to say these words into this microphone. And so we got together and she helped me out a couple times. And that's basically how I learned the German. But maybe I should download Duolingo and actually learn German. Maybe
so
that's what
challenging.
I should do.
And to put the emotion, you know, in the right place like you did, it was just, I mean, I think you did. I haven't heard from any real German speakers that it was wrong.
I practiced with a real German speaker at one point and she said, you sound like you're speaking German, maybe towards the border of Austria, but it's German.
That's great. That's great.
Which I just decided my character was maybe towards the border of Austria.
Yeah. Not from
So I really
Bavaria.
feel like, you know, we're talking about, you know, filmmakers from the Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that, you know, I lived in New York for a very long time and go there all the time and lived in Chicago for most of my adult career. Was born in Minnesota, raised in Iowa. But as an adult and artist, I've lived in Chicago and New York primarily and spent a lot of time in LA. But I've never lived in Minneapolis. And I'm just so incredibly impressed by the filmmaker scene in Minneapolis. And the rest of the world really doesn't know about it, as you know. They don't.
Right.
I tell my friends in New York, I'm like, no, Minneapolis is like, they're like, oh my God, you moved back to the Midwest. You poor thing, you're so sweet. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's easier to make a film in the Midwest.
Yes.
The talent is because, you know, we're underappreciated or under expected of. People are always shocked and then they're nicer to you because they're like, oh my God, I didn't know you were so talented. I'm like, really? The craziness of the stereotype of what it is to be an artist in the Midwest is something that I fought kind of my whole life. Not really fought, but just have been an advocate to talk about. And I think
people did ask me where I got my actors. We have actors here.
Yeah, amazing actors. That's funny, Julie. They asked you where you got the actors. Isn't that funny? Well, people ask me where I got my filmmakers for the film fest. People are like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Have you been to Minnesota?" And most people who say that kind of a thing have never been, even not just to Minnesota, but to the rest of even the Midwest. And I will say, and Iowa has a worse rep than even Minnesota does. I've even heard people from Minneapolis say, "Oh my gosh, well, you're from Iowa." And I'm like, you guys really, or Wisconsin, or you're from Wisconsin, or, and I'm like, and so
Yeah,
I
that
tell
speaks to
people,
other things, doesn't it? That we bag on Iowa and Wisconsin.
yeah,
When Minneapolis is
True.
making fun of you.
When Minneapolis is making fun of you, right? Right. You know, it's a rough spot, and that's why I did the Spring Grove International Film Festival as a tri-state. It's a tri-state festival, even though it's international. I wanted to highlight that it's a tri-state because we all are bordered right along the Mississippi, and we're like, right next to each other. And so I just think it's funny that we talk about each other's neighborhoods, and we're like, and people from New York think we all live in the same place. They think that Des Moines and Minneapolis are the same city. And I'm not talking bad about them, but it's true. Or Milwaukee, they put Des Moines, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis. They're like, oh yeah, that's the place that's not New York or not LA.
Interesting.
So it's true. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I've had the pleasure to work on Broadway once and work on off Broadway a number of times. And I tell people where I'm from, and they're like, oh yeah, isn't that Nebraska? Really, it's true in our day and age. And so I think we almost have a mission, as Midwest filmmakers and promoters, to talk about the talent that's here, to hire people that's from here, to encourage people that you don't have to live in LA, you don't have to live in New York. You can always fly to New York. I do. You can always fly to LA. I'm going there in 2 weeks. Julie, maybe you're going to be there at the same time I am.
Yeah, I'll be there for like 6-7 weeks.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Well, I will get in touch because I'm being there working on a project that we're going to shoot next year, the Dream Cafe musical.
Nice.
So yeah.
I do want to. Just for my love of Stephen here, I want to do a shout out to him because he's also a filmmaker.
Cool, Stephen.
And he just got his first feature film that he directed. That's your first feature film, is it, or is that your second?
No, it's the first feature. Yep.
Yeah, Ice House, and he just got well, you want to say digital distribution. It's out on DVD, right?
Yes, right now it's on pre-order on several platforms until November 24th, and then November 24th it's ships November 24th, and it'll be on several digital platforms at that point. So yeah, again, a lot of talent here. Ice House, in the icy cold of Minnesota, that's where we shot this. So.
Cool.
And that's a thriller, right? A psychological
thriller, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a feature. How long is it? Give us a
just under 2 hours.
Perfect. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
which platforms can I?
So iTunes, Fandango, Xbox. Eventually, it'll be on Amazon Prime. It's on. So there's a few different platforms, and it's exciting to work with a distribution company. That was one of the challenges when we talk about messages for people in this. This is show business. There's the show part. There's the business part. Yeah. The show part is really exciting and can be challenging. The business part, with my corporate background, I used that quite a bit to focus on how to get something into distribution, and that is a challenge, and it was well worth it now to finally get it out there. So,
and just the hoops you had to jump through for your deliverables, right?
Right. Yes. Just all the key learnings around E&O insurance and closed captioning and just different things that for the next feature, I put all those line items in there for sure. But it was a great learning experience. It was a low budget film, and now pulling 5 features together now to start getting ready to push those. So, and of course, would work with Julie in a heartbeat. Or you okay, Tiffany?
What about this psychological thriller, Stephen?
yeah, exactly.
I love that, Tiffany. You're so subtle. How are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Just over here.
And we've got great talent in Minnesota.
They're casting his next 5 features locally. Yeah. You're going to have to come over here, Seth. You're going to have to just make the move.
I know. I keep trying to jump back and forth between the two, and eventually I'll just have to go over there.
I mean, I love Milwaukee, Seth. It's a great place. I've spent lots of time there. My master's degree from there. I studied my PhD program there. I love Milwaukee, but it's not Minneapolis. I love you, Milwaukee. It's not Minneapolis. The film scene in Minneapolis, I'm saying it in front of God and everybody, is, I think, on the rise. I do. So, Skylight Opera Theater. Is that where you're doing your next show, Seth?
Yep, Skylight Music Theater, open in November.
Yeah.
And is that going to be partial capacity or what's going on?
Yeah, partial capacity. They're adhering to all CDC business safety guidelines and stuff like that. Spacing out, masks, everyone's
Good.
far apart. No one can get close to us. We're actually none of us are like blocked next to each other. Like all our blocking's like changing and stuff like that. And like it's interesting. And we're rehearsing over Zoom for as long as we can. So it makes music interesting.
Is it Diana Carlson? Is she the still director there? Do you know Diana?
No, I know of her, and but our artistic director is Michael. Oh my God, his last name fell out of my head. He's a new artistic director from last year, Michael. He's directing this one as they're trying to kind of like revamp their whole season and everything.
Well, Diana's amazing. She was in one of my first productions I ever did as a director in Milwaukee, like 22 years. So she's pretty cool. But I'm shocked that that everyone's going to be on stage. That's amazing. That's I mean, it's wonderful. But I'm shocked by that.
Yeah. It's been an ordeal. It's definitely it's a whole new ballgame to try and get anything like that. Yeah.
Well, I think Julie, I think that whenever you want to come on and talk about anything, please do. And the crew and what's coming up. And I'm gonna do some Zoom interviews in LA with some directors that we're gonna do. We're thinking about doing the Spring Grove International Film Festival again because of COVID. Like we're doing part 2 of it with our same filmmakers, some chosen filmmakers, and you're certainly going to be one of them, Julie.
Thank you.
Of our award winners.
Thank you.
We have 20 award winners from the festival, and then just feature, just like we're doing now. And I'm thinking about doing that in January. We have some yeses from some other directors, because I think it's really important. We put all this work into something, and it doesn't get seen enough. And then we talk about it. People are like, oh God, I wish I could have seen that online, or I wish I could have come, but I couldn't. And I think it deserves a second go around.
I love that.
Do you? Okay, good. And everyone else says the same thing because it just deserves more hang time. It just does. It's not enough to play it for 3 days and then it's gone. It's like the work is worth more than that. So we don't have a ton of time right now, but I want to congratulate Stephen on Icebox. I can't wait to see that feature.
Ice House.
Ice House.
Because I'm such a dork sometimes.
Oh, that's okay.
I really am. I'm like crazy. Okay, Ice House. Who directed it? Did you? I directed it. Yes. You directed? Did you write it and direct it?
No, I produced, directed, and edited, but I did not write it. A writer out of LA.
And edited it. Wow, that's amazing, right? Only produced, directed, and edited. Oh, that's amazing. And who wrote it?
Patrick Miles out of LA.
Cool.
Wrote it.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. Tiffany, I hope that you're cast in everything that you auditioned for. She is talented. Your characters, as we sit here and speak, and I haven't watched the film in maybe a month because it was in September, but your acting is etched in my mind of the character that you played. It was haunting. Your character was haunting. It was she was beautiful and haunting and in her own right. And of course, Julie, it was really funny because when we were doing the Zoom Awards for the first time of the festival. So Julie, you guys win the best short film in Minnesota, right? And best filmmaker award, best costumes, and there's 20 award people that I invited to be on the Zoom meeting, and I leave off Julie. I'm like, because only award winners were invited, first of all. Okay.
Right, so everybody wins an award, and then I'm like, loser.
I'm like, well, everyone didn't know the only people who were invited to that Zoom meeting were, of course, the winners. And I already told you that you'd won an award.
I know, it's kind of like, huh?
And then I'm such a dork. Oh my God. I'm doing this from Minneapolis, and the last award, and then we're done, right? And then Julie's like, oh, I feel like such a loser. I didn't win. I'm like, oh no, Julie, you did win an award. You won the best filmmaker award.
I know. Then I won a really great award. I was like, oh my God.
2 really great awards, actually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we were best costume of all festival, not just short films, but the features.
Yeah, of all films. Yeah. So that was kind of a a cool award to give
We
out.
should
So,
we should give a shout out to Rich Hampson at the Chanhassen Dinner Theater, who designed all those costumes.
yeah, amazing. Oh, he's from the Chanhassen. Well, he designed them. Wow.
Yes, they were from Hello Dolly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I was very reminded of the Titanic when I watched. My first
Yes.
impression, I was very reminded of the costumes from the Titanic. I mean, they weren't exactly like, but it was, of the era and of the quality. And
it forced me to, from a picture of the Titanic, because everything is dark and muddled now, right? That's the look of film,
Yeah.
And then, here's the Titanic, it's lit as bright as can be. Everything is just crisp. And I was like, so I went somewhere in the middle because of the Titanic.
You did?
Movie. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't want it to be that bright, but it, somewhere.
It was brighter than, and it totally worked. It completely worked. So I hope anyone who watches this gets the opportunity to see it, because it's so worth it. And I'm sure whatever comes next is going to be even more worth it. And congratulations on your work, you guys. And thank you for being here today. And keep doing your work. Please keep doing your work. Tiffany, Stephen, Seth, Julie, please, for all of us, keep doing your work, okay?
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Thank you.
Love and light to you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.